Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our Calm English Learning Podcast, where we practice slow speaking, natural conversation, useful expressions, and confident communication in a peaceful and relaxing way.
We are very happy that you are joining us today because this episode is specially designed for English learners who want to improve their listening skills, speaking confidence, pronunciation, vocabulary, and natural understanding of daily conversations.
In today's episode, we are going to have long and meaningful conversations using natural English expressions that people often use in everyday life, so you can learn English in a more realistic and comfortable way.
While listening, try to focus on the pronunciation, sentence patterns, expressions, and emotions behind the words, because understanding natural conversation is one of the most important parts of becoming fluent in English.
You know, Emma, I've always believed that the way we start our morning can completely change the mood and energy of the entire day. Because when I wake up early, take a deep breath, and spend a little quiet time with myself, I feel much calmer and more focused throughout the day.
I completely understand what you mean because I've noticed the exact same thing in my own life, especially on days when I wake up without rushing, prepare a warm cup of tea, and sit near the window while listening to soft music or simply enjoying the peaceful sound of the morning outside.
That honestly sounds like such a relaxing way to begin the day. And to be completely honest, I think many people nowadays are living such busy and stressful lives that they rarely give themselves enough quiet time to relax mentally before starting work or study.
Yes, that's absolutely true. And sometimes people become so busy with their phones, social media, and daily responsibilities that they forget how important it is to slow down for a few moments and simply enjoy peaceful experiences in life.
I couldn't agree more, because even something very simple, like walking outside early in the morning while feeling the cool air and watching the sunlight slowly appear in the sky, can make a person feel refreshed and emotionally balanced.
Exactly. And I think peaceful mornings also help us think more clearly because whenever I start my day calmly, I usually feel more positive, patient, and productive during the rest of the day.
Emma, one thing I've always wanted to ask you is how you became more comfortable speaking English naturally. Because many learners understand grammar and vocabulary quite well, but they still feel nervous whenever they try to speak in real conversations.
That's actually a very common problem for many English learners. And honestly, I used to feel exactly the same way. Because even though I studied English for years in school, I still lacked confidence whenever I tried to express my thoughts in spoken English.
That's really interesting because I think many listeners can probably relate to that feeling, especially when they worry too much about making mistakes or speaking with imperfect pronunciation in front of other people.
Yes, definitely. But over time, I realized that waiting for perfect English was actually slowing down my progress because language learning becomes much easier when you stop being afraid of mistakes and simply focus on communication, little by little, every day.
That makes so much sense. And honestly, I've noticed that people who practice speaking regularly, even with simple sentences, usually improve much faster than people who only study grammar rules silently from books.
Exactly, because language is a skill, and like any other skill, it improves through practice and repetition, especially when learners spend time listening to natural conversations and repeating useful expressions again and again.
I totally agree with you because listening practice has helped me a lot personally, especially when I listen to podcasts slowly and repeat the sentences aloud to improve my pronunciation and speaking rhythm.
That's actually one of the best learning methods because shadowing practice trains both listening and speaking at the same time, and it helps learners sound more natural and confident while communicating in English.
Recently, I've been trying to spend less time scrolling through social media and more time reading books because I realize that reading not only improves vocabulary and concentration, but also helps people think more deeply and calmly.
I think that's a wonderful decision because reading books can truly change the way we think and understand the world, especially when we read stories or experiences that teach us valuable lessons about life, people, emotions, and personal growth.
Exactly. And one thing I really enjoy about reading is that books allow us to slow down mentally for a while. Because unlike social media, books usually encourage patience, imagination, and deeper thinking.
That's very true. And honestly, whenever I spend time reading a peaceful novel while drinking tea on a quiet evening, I feel much more relaxed compared to spending hours looking at my phone screen.
I completely understand that feeling because modern life can sometimes feel extremely fast and noisy, and reading gives us an opportunity to disconnect from stress and reconnect with our thoughts and emotions.
Absolutely. And I also think reading simple English books is one of the best ways for learners to improve naturally because they can learn grammar, vocabulary, and sentence structure without feeling too much pressure.
Yes, especially when learners choose books that are slightly easier than their level because that helps them enjoy the reading experience instead of feeling frustrated or overwhelmed.
You know, Emma, I've always believed that good friendships are one of the most valuable things in life because supportive and honest friends can make difficult times feel much easier and happy moments even more meaningful.
I completely agree with you because true friendship is not only about having fun together during good times, but also about supporting each other emotionally during stressful, difficult, or confusing moments in life.
Exactly. And I think one of the most important qualities of a good friend is the ability to listen carefully without judging, because sometimes people simply need someone who understands their feelings sincerely.
That's such an important point because many people today are quick to give advice, but they forget how powerful simple listening and understanding can be for someone who is feeling stressed or emotionally tired.
Yes, and honestly, even a short conversation with a kind and supportive friend can completely improve a person's mood after a long and stressful day.
That's very true because human connection is extremely important for emotional health, and spending time with positive people often helps us feel calmer, happier, and more motivated in life.
Welcome back to the show. Today, we're diving into the intersection of AI and creative expression.
Yes, quite often actually, because I believe having goals gives people direction and motivation, even if progress sometimes feels slow or difficult along the way.
I completely agree because whenever people have meaningful goals, they usually feel more hopeful and focused, even during challenging periods in life.
Exactly. And one of my biggest goals is to become more confident while communicating in English because I want to speak naturally, express my ideas clearly, and connect with people from different countries around the world.
That's a wonderful goal. And honestly, I think you are already making excellent progress because confidence grows slowly through regular practice, patience, and real life communication experiences.
Thank you, Daniel. And I've realized that improving step by step is much better than expecting instant perfection because language learning is truly a long journey that requires consistency and patience.
That's absolutely true. And I think many learners become discouraged too quickly because they compare themselves to fluent speakers without remembering that every fluent person was once a beginner, too. To everyone listening today, we want you to remember something very important. You do not need perfect English to communicate successfully, because communication is about sharing ideas, feelings, and understanding each other little by little.
Yes, and please do not feel embarrassed about making mistakes because mistakes are not signs of failure. They are signs that you are practicing, learning, and becoming stronger step by step.
Exactly. And even if your sentences are simple right now, your confidence and fluency will grow naturally if you continue practicing consistently every single day.
Try to enjoy the learning process instead of worrying too much about perfection, because relaxed and positive learners often improve much faster than learners who constantly criticize themselves.
And remember that listening is one of the most powerful ways to improve your English naturally, because the more you listen to calm and understandable English conversations, the more familiar the language becomes in your mind.